Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We'll begin with our prayers.
Hari
Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuro Nmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Shatarani. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, we are continuing our discussion from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 5. We were on which chapter? We were on 5th chapter. Okay. We are discussing the wonderful teachings of Lord Rishabdev. We discussed first verse. नायम देहो देह भाजाम निलोके कष्टान कामान अर्हति विडभुजाम्ये तपो दिव्यम पुत्रकायेन सत्वम शुद्धिये तस्मात् ब्रह्म सौख्यम त्वानंतम. In the 4th canto, Shukdev Goswami ended the discussion with Maitreya Narad Samvad, Maitreya Vidur Samvad. Vidurji went back to Hastinapur. Maitreya Muni went to Haridwar, and Shukdev Goswami said, Swayambhu Manu, I have described you the dynasty of the first son of Swayambhu Manu. Let me describe the second son, that is Priyavrat. Priyavrat was brahmachari, then he got married, and still he remained detached. Parikshit Maharaj had a inquiry, had a doubt. How is it possible? Sannyas, renunciant, how can they become married? Even after getting married, how he didn't get entangled? Shukdev Goswami starts the story. He describes the detachment of Priyavrat, Jitendriya Atmarati Buddha, Grihashramam Kimnu Karoti Avadya. He described the supernatural, superhuman activities of Priyavrat, created 7 oceans, 7 islands, and then he became the second son. He became completely detached later, went to the forest, perfected his life, and later he made Agnidra as the king. Priyavrat had 7 sons. Agnidra was the eldest. And he had 3 more sons from other wife. Varishmati, he had 7 sons. Other wife, he had 3 sons. They became the Manus in 3rd, 4th, and 5th Manvantara, Uttama, Tamasa, and Raivata. Agnidra had a son. His name was Nabhi. Nabhi had a son who was the Supreme Lord himself, Rishabdev. And Rishabdev's story is described here. He once went to certain place, and he desired to instruct his sons. He had 100 sons. So we are discussing the wonderful instructions of Rishabdev. Okay, we'll recite the second verse. Mahatsevam dvara mahur mukte tamodvaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samachittaha prashanta vimanyava suridhasadhavoye. Translation.
One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equiposed. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas.
Okay, Mahat Seva. Whether you want impersonal Brahman liberation or you want devotional service, you have to associate with Mahat. Mahat means the great personalities, advanced spiritual personalities, not just great devotees, great Brahmavadis also. If you want to merge in Brahman, associate with Brahmavadis. And if you are attached to women and enjoyment, then Tamodvaram, path to hell is open. These devotees are Prashanta, they are Samachitta. Chakravarti Thakur writes, from the human body one can gain deliverance or fall down. The cause of both lies in human body. So there are two types of liberations, personal and impersonal liberation. And both ways, if you want to achieve liberation, you have to associate with such Mahatmas. Mahatma also means two varieties of saints, worshippers of impersonal Brahman and worshippers of Bhagavan. So all these Mahatmas, they are peaceful, equipoised, fixed in his intelligence on the supreme truth. Their differing qualities are described in double language. So these two types of Mahantas, they have some different qualities. Samachittah. Samachittah means it has two meanings. Samachitta can also mean one who sees no difference, that is impersonalist, and one whose heart is sincere, that is a devotee. That is Samachitta. For a devotee, Samachitta means he has a sincere heart. Prashanta. Prashanta means one who is peaceful, that is a impersonalist. But for a devotee, this Prashanta means his intelligence is fixed in the Lord. That is actual Shanti. Actual Shanti means intelligence fixed on the Lord. And in that situation, there may not be actual Shanti sometimes. Because serving the Lord is not so easy. Serving the Lord means lots of anxieties. But Tomara Sevaya Dukkha Hoye Sevato Parama Sukha. That is the greatest bliss for a devotee. One time, one devotee in Los Angeles, Watsika Avenue, they found a big church. And they wrote to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we have found a big church. So, but they're asking a lot of money. They're asking $300,000, sorry, $300,000. So Prabhupada, he said, okay. But then first Prabhupada said, oh, it is a lot of money. What's the use of spending so much of money to get a building? It will just create anxiety for us. We don't want to buy anxiety. So devotee said, okay, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. So then after a few days, Prabhupada wrote back again, I am coming to Los Angeles in a few weeks. I will see that. So Prabhupada came, he landed on the airport, and as soon as he sat in the car, immediately said, can we go and see that property? Devotee said, yes, Prabhupada. They went there. It was a very big church, nicely furnished. And the devotee was showing all this. Oh, this is a place where we can make into temple hall. This is a place where brahmacharis will stay. This can become the kitchen. And Prabhupada, he was seeing all this. And then this devotee, he said, but Prabhupada, what's the use of buying all this property? It will just create anxiety. Prabhupada, he banged his fist on the table and said, what is the use of sitting peacefully and sleep? We have to buy anxiety for Krishna. So all the devotees were smiling because Prabhupada was saying the same statement. So that is how a devotee, his intelligence is fixed in the Lord, and that fixed intelligence creates anxiety of service. Samanishtata buddhe, samo manishtata buddhe. There is another verse, 11th canto. What is Shama means? Intelligence fixed in me. That is called as Samata. Krishna himself saying this. What is samata for a devotee? Man nishtata buddhi. When the mind is fixed in Krishna, that is called as sama buddhi. That is called as equipoised intelligence. Vimanyava, Surida, Sadhava, they have the same meaning for devotee and impersonalist. Sadhava means one who does not see faults in others. So such type of descriptions, they come always in Bhagavatam. The importance of association of devotees. So these saintly people, they do not become angry when they see sinful people. It's just like if a doctor sees a mad patient who is angry, the doctor doesn't become angry on the mad patient because he knows he's mad. So what is the use of becoming angry on a mad person? He doesn't know, he doesn't understand. That's how when saintly people, they see somebody madly intoxicated in sense gratification, who are sinful, who are rebellious, they don't feel angry because they know this is the effect of madness. Maddened person cannot be treated by becoming angry. Nunam pramatta purute vikarma. It will come. This is the next verse. Nunam pramatta purute vikarma yadindriya pritaya pranoti. People are pramatta, pakke pagal, prakrishta rupen mat. So these people, these saintly people, they are vimanyava, they never become angry. So the more one advances, they learn to tolerate the madness of the conditioned souls. Just like doctor has to tolerate all the madness, all the rebellious nature. So we have to learn to tolerate. The saintly people, they tolerate the rebellious, angry nature of the conditioned souls. So that's how the saintly people are. Srila Prabhupada, he tells that once he was sitting in a class of his guru, another man came and sat, and Prabhupada was talking to this other person. And suddenly Prabhupada, Saraswati Thakur stopped the class and told Vaibhav, our Prabhupada, he said, just because you are giving me donation, don't think you have purchased me. If you want to talk, then come here and speak. So Saraswati Thakur bhi Prabhupada ko. So saintly people, when they see their subordinates doing some mistake, they correct them. And that is love. That is not anger, that is love. Otherwise, who corrects others? It is saintly people who correct their subordinates. And Prabhupada would say many times that I was happy to be corrected. When he met Saraswati Thakur on the first day and he was defeated by Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada would say, I was happy to be defeated. So these great saintly people, they are Vimanyava Surida. They are the welfare workers. And therefore, they sometimes chastise, but out of love. That is constructive criticism, not destructive criticism. Constructive criticism means when you correct somebody, that person feels, oh yes, I should change myself. Destructive means, ab to yahi karunga main. Is this a way a senior speaks? So if the way we correct people is not right, then it is destructive. So these saintly people, they know the art of taking care of the subordinates, not becoming angry on them. And they are welfare workers, Surida Sadhavoye. So the first verse described Kashtan Kaman Arhati. The people are engaging in sense gratification, which gives them pain. How to come out of this? Second verse is the solution. Mahat Seva. You do Mahat Seva, you will come out of the pain of sense gratification. So that is why great saintly people, they travel. Mahad Vichalanam Nrinam Grihinam Dina Chetasam Nishrayasaya Bhagavan Kalpate Nanyatha Kvachit. Saintly people, they travel just for the welfare of people in general. In the third canto, Vidurji tells about Maitreya. Janasya Krishna Vimukhasya Daivat Adharmashilasya Sudukhitasya Anugrahaye Hacharanti Nunam Bhutani Bhadrani Janardanasya. Janasya Krishna Vimukha. People of the world, they have turned their face away from Krishna because Adharmashil, they are very loyal to a religion. Therefore, they are suffering. Sudukhitasya. Anugrahaye Hacharanti Nunam. Just to show mercy to these people, Charanti, the great people, they travel for their welfare. So that's how the tendency to enjoy is such deeply rooted. It doesn't go so easily unless one associates with saintly people. Unless a mahat comes in the life of a conditioned soul, this attachment, knot of attachment cannot be cut. One time there was an old man. He was so very attached to his family, his business, and he had a son. He was a devotee. So his son thought, I should do something for my father. He thought maybe I should take him to Varanasi. When he'll see all the burning ghats, where dead bodies are burnt, Manikarnika Ghat, then he will develop some detachment. Thinking like this, he takes his father to Varanasi. And there, this father is standing and he's seeing all the burning bodies. And this old man started crying. और बेटे को लगा काम हो गया. पिताजी के मन में वैराग्य जागा. So son asked, what happened? What happened? Why are you crying, father? He said, I wasted my life. तो और खुश हो गया बेटा. चलो भाई, हो गया अपना काम. What happened? Why are you saying this? I wasted my life doing textile business. Or we should close down and start a wood business. Just see, there is no end to the customers here. तो वो बोला ना, अरे बाप रे, इसका जीवन निकल गया, फिर भी अभी तक वही कर रहा है. Father says, let's go back and start, and I will be the proprietor of that other company. So that's how, unless a mahat comes in the life, it is so very difficult to cut. The vasanas, they never go so easily. That's why Devahuti, she tells Kardam Muni that Saham Bhagavata Nunam Vanchita Mayaya Drinam Yatvam Vimuktidam Prapya Namukshe Bandhana. I am solidly cheated by material nature. Solidly cheated. I got your association, but I desired enjoyment. What's the use of this life? I wasted my time. So that's how, unless one comes in association of devotees, it is not so easy to cut off this attachment. Therefore, this verse very clearly says, Mahat Seva, unless you associate, unless you serve, it is not so easy. And this comes many times, many verses of association, right from the first canto, 5th chapter, where Narad Muni's association is described. He associated with the great souls. Uchishtalepan Anumodito Dvijay. He associated, took the remnants, and all the sins are gone. He developed pure devotion. The desire to enjoy is the greatest obstacle. The path of spirituality is a path of shifting our desire from an enjoyer to be a servant. That's the greatest shift. This is the most difficult shift. The vasanas, they don't go so easily. It is like a pot of liquor. It is described, even if you throw the liquor, even if you wash it with soap, still the smell remains. Shukdev Goswami also tells, Sura Kumbham Ivapaga. The vasanas, they don't go so easily. Just like the pot which is contaminated with liquor, even if you wash it with all the holy rivers, it will still contaminated only. Asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. Unless we cut the attachment by association of great souls, by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, it will not happen so easily. That's why Gajendra, he prays after he offered so many beautiful prayers, and then he came to the realization, I don't want to be free from this crocodile. I want to be liberated from this body. Jijivishenahamihamuya kim mantarbahishchavritayeva yonya. Ichhami kale nanayasya viplava tasyatmaloka varnayasya moksham. Jijivishena aham. I don't want to live now. What is the use of this body? This elephant body. Antar bahi avrit. अंदर से तो है ही ignorance. बाहर से भी dull elephant body. What is the use of this? I don't want to liberate it because Ichhami kale nanayasya viplava, in due course of time. Time destroys everything except ignorance. That can be destroyed only by association of devotees. Some people are so sick, they can't even go to hospital on their own. They have to call the doctor कि doctor साहब अभी तो hospital जा ही नहीं सकते, आप आ जाइए. The condition of people of this world are like this. They don't have the strength to go to devotees. So devotees, they should proactively preach, help others. That is very important. So association of devotees, that is the most powerful thing. And if one does not get association, that is the greatest distress. Dukkha madhye kona dukkha hoye guru tar. Ramanand Rai, Mahaprabhu is asking Ramanand Rai, which is the greatest distress in this world? Anyone knows the answer? What Mahaprabhu said? Dukkha madhye kona dukkha hoye guru tar. What is the greatest distress for a living entity? Mahaprabhu says, Krishna bhakta viraha vina dukkha nahi dekhi par. There is no greater distress than to be separated from devotees. Because the devotees, if they are not there, the distress of this material world will continue for eternity. Unless a devotee enters the life of a conditioned soul, the path of destruction, path of hell is never changed or blocked. Prasangam majaram pasham atmanam kavayo vidu saeva sadhu shukrito mokshadvaram apavritam. Devotee says this. The desire to enjoy and attachment to things of this world is so very natural for a conditioned soul. We have to use the same propensity and attach ourselves to devotees. Then the door of liberation will be opened. Prabhupada writes in this purport, the body is like a junction. One may either take path of liberation or path leading to hellish condition. How these happen? Association. You associate, you will become like that. You become what you associate with. Tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. Associate with Mahatma, you will become Mahatma. Associate with Duratma, you will become Duratma. असत्संग त्यागे वैष्णवाचार कृष्ण संगी एक असाधु कृष्ण भक्त आर. Who is a Vaishnava? Sri Sangi, asadhu, and Krishna abhakta. In sabka association, we should never ever take. There are four things: wish, vishay, vishayi, and vishayi sangi. इन चारों में से सबसे भयंकर विषय संगी है. Bhagavatam says one should not associate with vishayi and vishayi sangi also. Prithu Maharaj, four Kumaras tells this to Prithu Maharaj that सा श्रद्धया भगवद धर्म चरेया जिज्ञासया आध्यात्मिक योग निष्ठया. नहीं, इसके आगे वाले श्लोक में बोलते हैं अहिंसया Arthendriyaram sagoshtya trishnaya tatsammatanam apparigrahen cha. Artha indriyaram, those who are enjoyers, and tatsammatana, those who are associating with the sense enjoyers. Never associate with them. Viviktaruchya paritosha atmani vina harer guna piyushapana. Mold your life in such a way that you can't live without hearing Harikatha. Prabhupada gives such amazing translations. Mold your life in such a way that you can't live without hearing Harikatha. Okay, next verse. Now, the two types of Mahatmas are described, those who are impersonalists and those who are devotees. In the next verse, Rishabdev says, among these two Mahatmas, devotees are superior and their qualities are described in the next verse. Deva maishe krita sauridarta janeshu deham bharavartikeshu griheshu griheshu jayatma janati matsu na priti yuktaya vadarthasya loke.
Those who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness and increasing their love of Godhead do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. They are not interested in mingling with people who are busy maintaining their bodies, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They are not attached to their homes, although they may be householders, nor are they attached to wives, children, friends, or wealth. At the same time, they are not indifferent to the execution of their bodies, of their duties. Such people are interested in collecting only enough money to keep the body and soul together.
So the 6 qualities of Krishna conscious Grihastha is described here. Those who are interested in reviving Krishna consciousness and increasing their love of God, first, they do not like to do anything that is not related to Krishna. Yeva mai ishe krita sauridartha. Anything not related to Krishna, not interested. And second, janeshu deham bharavartikeshu. They are not interested in mingling with people, jana, who are attached to their bodies, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Deha ambar varta. Deha ambar varta means eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So first, they will not do anything that is not related to Krishna. Second, they will not mingle with materialistic people. Third, griheshu jaya atmajarati matsu. Personally, they also have no attachment for griha, jaya, atmaja, and all the other things. Wife, children, husband, property, all that. So somebody may ask, if they have no attachment for their husband, wife, home, children, then why are they living in the houses? Because, last line answers, na priti yukta yavad artha. At the same time, they are not indifferent in execution of their duties. That's the only thing. And sixth is, they are interested only in collecting money to keep the body and soul together. These are the 6 qualities of Krishna conscious Grihastha. In the second canto, Shukdev Goswami described the Grihamedhi life. Grihamedhi life means Nidraya Riyate Naktam Vyavayena Chamavaya Divacha Artha Ihaya Rajan Kutumba Bharane Nava. They live their day for earning money and night they sleep or enjoy. That is Grihamedhi life. And a Grihastha means these 6 things. They are not attached. They are not attached to family, children, but they do their duties properly. Just like we'll hear the story of Bharat Maharaj. Yo dustyajan dar sutan surid rajyam ridhi sprisha jaho yuay malavat. Malavat, like a person passing stool and just leaves. Anyone remembers this example? We have discussed this. Why this analogy is given? There are three characteristics of this analogy. Anyone remembers that? Why Shukdev Goswami is giving this Mallavat? उसमें क्या अलग है? We had discussed that a person who responds, who has this nature call, and he can't respond, he becomes really disturbed. After evacuating, he feels relieved, happy. And when he sees stool, he becomes disgusted. This is like a person, a liberated soul, a pure devotee of the Lord, who is dealing with sense objects. If he is in a situation where sense gratification is going on, he is really disturbed. He can't handle that. If he gives up that sense gratification, he becomes really happy. And when he sees somebody engaging in sense gratification, he is disgusted. Bhavati mukha vikara shushtu nishtivanam cha. My lips curl in distaste and I spit at the thought. Who said this?
Yamunacharya.
Yamunacharya. So that's how these devotees, they have no attachment for their wealth, family, children, but they take care of their responsibilities properly. Their dharma is for apavarga. Dharmasya hi apavarga, not for enjoyment. By dharma, you will get artha. That artha should not be used for kam. That should be used for apavarga. So that's how this devotee, he is working only for developing connection with the Lord. Yeva maishe krit sauridha artha. He is very eager to develop love, develop connection with the Lord. That's the only purpose for this devotee. In the third canto, we heard the life of Swayambhu Manu. He was such a great devotee. He was a king of entire world, Bhumandal. Personally, he was detached. Prabhupada writes in the purport there, very beautiful lines. We'll see that. Three 22:33. Okay. Swayambhu Manu enjoyed his life with his wife and subjects and fulfilled his desire without getting disturbed by unwanted principles contrary to the process of religion. Prabhupada writes purport. The Vedic principles are designed in such a way that conditioned souls who have come to this material world may be guided in fulfilling their material desires, at the same time be liberated. It is understood. Okay, somebody can read from here. It is understood.
It is understood that Emperor Swayambhuva Manu enjoyed his household life by following these principles. It is stated here that early in the morning, there were musicians who used to sing with musical instrument about the glories of the Lord, and the emperor with his family personally used to hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Person. This custom is still prevalent in India in some of the royal families and temples. Professional musicians sing with शहनाई
शहनाई
and
शहनाई होती है ना, शहनाई वो जो पीपीपी में बजती है वो शादी में, उसको शहनाई बोलते हैं.
the sleeping members of the house gradually get up from their bed in a pleasing atmosphere. During bedtime also, the singers sing songs in relationship with the pastimes of the Lord with the Shanai accompaniment, and the householders gradually fall asleep, remembering the glories of the Lord. In every house, in addition to the singing program, there is an arrangement for Bhagavatam lecture in the evening. Family members sit down, hold Hare Krishna Kirtan, hear narrations from Srimad Bhagvatam and Bhagavad Gita, and enjoy music before going to bed. The atmosphere created by this Sankirtana moment lives in their hearts, and while sleeping, they also dream of singing and glorification of the Lord. In such a way, perfection of Krishna consciousness can be attained. This practice is very old, as learned from this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Millions of years ago, Swayambhuva Manu used to avail himself of this opportunity to live householder life in peace and prosperity of a Krishna conscious atmosphere.
Okay. So that's how the kings would live. They were completely Krishna conscious. Apipala Dharmaraja Pitrivat Ranjayan Praja Nishpriha Sarvakamebhyo Krishna Padanusevaya. Yudhishthir Maharaj is also described like this. Completely Krishna conscious. Staying only for Krishna. For Pandavas, Krishna was their life and soul. Krishna was their everything. That's why when Krishna left, they thought, what's the use of living now? And then Prabhupada writes, as far as temples are concerned, every rich person makes a temple. And early morning, they go to Mangalarti and then they offer so many articles and then they go to work. That's how they're completely Krishna conscious. Then Prabhupada mentions about Jaipur. He says, the temple of the king of Jaipur is situated within the palace. This entire city of Jaipur is actually made for Govind Dev. I think some of us must have visited this Jaipur, Govind Dev temple. So this temple was made for Govind Dev. The city was made for Govind Dev. And this palace is a part of the temple. So that's what Prabhupada is writing. Every year, Prabhupada says, every day at least 5,000 devotees come. Even today for Mangalarti, thousands of devotees are there. So that's how this is Krishna conscious atmosphere. Okay. And then it is described how he would live his day. He was a saintly king. He was not dragged in the lowest grade of life. He enjoyed his material happiness in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. That is how Krishna conscious atmosphere. So one can enjoy also in Krishna conscious atmosphere. Bhakti is not against enjoyment. Enjoyment is there. Prabhupada writes in this purport again. The kingly happiness of material enjoyment generally drags one to the lowest life. But Swayambhuva was such a saintly sage because he had complete Krishna conscious atmosphere. So he was not degraded by sense enjoyment. For a devotee, the enjoyment is given by Krishna. Therefore, the enjoyment of a devotee does not degrade him or degrade his consciousness. Then it is described. Ayatayamam tasyasan yama swatantrayapana shinvato dhyayato vishnu kurvato bruvata katha. Complete Krishna conscious. What he would do, this is worth understanding and applying. Although his duration of life gradually came to an end, his life, consisting of Manvantara era, was not spent in vain, since he ever engaged in hearing, contemplating, writing down, and chanting. He would write also. Manu Samhita likhe, और भी बहुत सारा कुछ लिखे होंगे. He would write. Prabhupada writes, a devotee should write. Prabhupada writes in some places. Every devotee in Krishna consciousness movement who has spent a few years, they should write down their experiences. That is also a part of devotional service, writing. And Prabhupada would say, all my disciples should write books. So writing is also a part of Bhakti Yoga. Express and write your realizations so that other devotees can get benefited. So Prabhupada writes about that also somewhere. Okay. So Prabhupada writes here, the life of Emperor Swayambhu Manu was not tasteless. Because as one grows old, in old age, nothing is tasty. It is all stale. You can't enjoy, you can't eat, you can't do anything much. But for a devotee, it is always fresh. Anyone remembers anywhere else we have heard, although he grew older, his enthusiasm was not diminished. Something like this. कहीं पे सुने हैं ये? भागवतम में कालेन, चलो मैं श्लोक भी बता देता हूँ. कालेन जरसम गतः. Time did not reduce his age or his enthusiasm.
Now, this chapter, what we're having for test today, in that it is given for the devotees attacked by Chandavega.
नहीं नहीं वो नहीं, उसमें नहीं है. It is described about Uddhav ji. When Vidurji meets Uddhav, na, so although he was described as many years old, but his enthusiasm didn't grow old. There Prabhupada writes, in Krishna consciousness, there is no satiation. In mundane service, there is satiation. In Krishna consciousness, no satiation. एक बार गौरंग ब्रो बोल रहे थे, इस्कॉन में जवान सोता है और बूढ़ा नाचता है. The more you grow old, the more you get more services. And your enthusiasm to do service also increases. His life remained as fresh as in the beginning because of his continued Krishna consciousness. Life of a man in Krishna consciousness is always fresh. So one should not say, "Arey, abhi to बूढ़े हो गए." Fresh है वो. आयुर्हर्ति वै पुंसाम उद्यम अस्तंचयन्नसौ तस्यर्थे क्षणौ नीतौ उत्तम श्लोक वार्तया. The devotee is not coming closer to death. He is coming closer to eternal life. He was the greatest. Prabhupada writes, Swayambhu Manu was the greatest yogi because he never wasted time. A devotee is very careful about how he is spending his time. Not even a single moment is spent without Krishna consciousness. Okay. So, after describing the glories of this devotee, now Rishabdev states those people who associate with Tamodwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. Now in the fourth verse, he elaborates more on such people and he laments for such people. We'll recite this. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma.
Nunam
कुरुते विकर्मा
Yadindriya pritaya pranoti.
यदिन्द्रिया प्रीत्या प्रणोति
Na sadhu manye yat atmanoyam.
न साधु मन्ये यतात्मनोऽयम्
Asannapi kleshadaashadeha.
Sam api kleshada adeha.
When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misstates, he has already received a body which, although temporary, is the cause of his misery. Actually, the living entity should not have taken a material body, but he has been afforded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it is not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after another.
So, Rishabdev is giving his opinion also. Nunam means indeed, certainly. Pramatta, people are sufficiently mad. Why? They are doing vikarma. Kurute vikarma. They are engaging in sinful activity. For what? For indriya priti. To satisfy the senses. People are ready to do anything and everything. That is madness. Yadindriya Pritaye. Because asannapi kleshada, this body is temporary and it will give only klesh. Klesh da. Klesh देने के लिए ही बनाया है. This body is made for klesh da. It's like Yashoda, one who gives fortune, fame. Klesh da, one who gives pain. Body बनाया ही है ब्रह्मा जी ने to give pain. As Brahma ji says, oh, what type of body I have created? I am just lamenting, seeing the condition of the people of this world. They will suffer. Anyone remembers what Brahma ji says? How the living entities suffer, and he is lamenting. श्लोक याद होगा तो श्लोक बताइए. श्लोक नहीं याद है, translation बताइए. Anyone knows if it remembers? Third canto. Brahma ji describes. He says, क्या बॉडी बनाया, अंदर से बाहर से सटल लेवल ऑल डिस्टर्ब. क्षुत्रित्रिधातुभीम उमा मुहुरर्द्यमाना शीत उष्ण वात वर्षा इतरेतराच. From inside, hunger, thirst, kapha, vata, pitta, always disturbed. Externally, heat, cold, rains. And subtle level, calm, agni, burning, desires. So body is made for giving pain. Kleshada asadeha. It is temporary body. It is full of misery. So, na sadhu manye. I don't think it is befitting for a sadhu, for an intelligent man, to involve in such sense gratification. It gives only pain. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says this? All the sense gratification gives misery. Anyone remember?
मुझे ये संस्पर्श जब होगा दुख जो नहीं
यही
है बते.
संस्पर्शजाप होगा. Yes. Chakravarti Thakur writes, he already stated that those persons who are attached to women fall down. He illustrates this and laments. When a person acts for sense pleasure, he engages himself in sinful activities like enjoying others' wives. Because of previous sins, one attains the present body. And with this present body, he again does sinful activity. Oh, this is all sinful, foolish. So when one comes to Krishna consciousness, all the sinful reactions are destroyed. So first installment of misery is, एक तो body मिला है मतलब first installment of misery. Second installment is, उसमें disease comes, then old age comes. So nature gives in all the pain in installment, all the miseries in installment. If somebody says we will enjoy and we will forget the pain, it is as if in tantric, black magic, they use the sesame seeds and they charge the seeds with some mantras and they drive away the ghost which is haunting a person. But what if the ghost enters the sesame seeds only? तब क्या करेंगे? Similarly, people, they use this body for sense gratification which is made to give pain. वो sesame seed use कर रहे थे भूत भगाने के लिए. The ghost has entered the sesame seed only. So body is meant to give pain and people are using it for sense gratification. That is foolishness. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Why?
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So why everywhere like they are telling they are attached to woman, who knows women? It's so much like woman देखने का भी नहीं ऐसा आ गया. It should not
We are
exist.
not this body, we are soul, Mataji.
प्रभुजी वो level पे नहीं आया. We identify with women and men only. उतना level हो गया तो परमहंस हो जाएगा.
See, wherever such things are mentioned in scriptures, we should always understand it is whether you are right. This women means it is the enjoying, it is the mentality of a enjoyer, Prakriti, and Purusha. Purusha means enjoyer, and
Okay.
Prakriti means enjoyed. So wherever we see this women attachment to women, that means attachment to the Prakriti, attachment to the things of this world. Whether you are a male body or a female body, the attachment, enjoyment, propensity is condemned here in scriptures. It is not about the external body, it is about the enjoyment mentality. That is condemned. That is there in both, whether you are a male or a female. Both
Then it is
have
okay.
enjoyment mentality. Then it's
Then
okay, na? Haan,
Yes.
theek hai.
His Her Grace Govinda Dasa Mataji was teased by the other Prabhus, women less intelligent and all, and she went to Srila Prabhupada, asked, so Prabhupada, see what they are telling. Then he said, okay, if you think you are a woman, then you are definitely less intelligent. That much only he answered.
You know, ये जो भगवत गीता का फर्स्ट चैप्टर में ही प्रभुपाद बॉम्ब डालते हैं एकदम उसमें. फर्स्ट चैप्टर आई थिंक 46 परपोर्ट और समथिंग 46 नहीं 42nd में वो संकरो नरकाये व कुलग्ना नाम कुलस्य च उसमें आता है वो विमेन आर लेस इंटेलिजेंट उसमें आता है ये. तो व्हेन आई टेक दैट भक्ति शास्त्री का आई गिव एटलीस्ट उसमें 1 घंटा एक्सप्लेनेशन में जाता है. द बेसिक प्रिंसिपल इज whenever we see if you see materially, are women less intelligent than men? No. You see in all the schools and colleges, who are the toppers? Women are the toppers. Because that is the feminine quality. Krishna himself says, right? Kirti, Shri, Vakcha, Nari, Nam, Smriti, Medha, Dhriti, Shama. These are the feminine qualities. Kirti, Shri, Vak, their voice, their beauty, their fame, Smriti, intelligence, remembrance, memory. सब याद रहता है माताओं को. Smriti, Dhriti, Shama, perseverance, tolerance. These are feminine qualities. So materially speaking, they are not less intelligent. And spiritually speaking, they are spirit souls. So what is less intelligent? We have to understand male body and female body. They have different psychophysical natures. Men are more rational. Females are more emotional. That does not say that should not say, "Array, some females are also more philosophical, rational." They are. Generally speaking, emotions are there more in females. And that has to be there, because that's how society continues. If males are there, society will become really bland, tasteless. ज़्यादा emotions नहीं. मैं आपको एक अच्छा वीडियो दिखा हो गया, जो मैं अपना दिखाता हूँ भक्ति शास्त्री में. Male brain,
Yes,
female
Purush,
brain.
yes.
दोनों का अलग अलग तरीके से काम करता है. Let me search that video. I have that. This is some psychologist who is giving this presentation. And he is really wonderful. पूरा एकदम हंसी मजाक करने वाला वो. Okay, on this. Just a minute. Let me share.
तो ये ब्रेन का वायरिंग दिखाया ना उसमें, ब्रेन का
हाँ?
वायरिंग
जो भी
वायरिंग ऑफ
दिखाया
द
है आप
ब्रेन.
देख लीजिए अभी.
We're going to start discussing men's brains, women's
Okay, is it
brains,
audible
and how
properly?
they're very different from each other. Now, I want to start with men's brains.
Yes, Purush, yes.
Men's brains are very unique. Men's brains are made up of little boxes. And we have a box for everything. We've got a box for the car. We've got a box for the money. We've got a box for the job. We've got a box for you. We've got a box for the kids. We've got a box for your mother somewhere in the basement. We got boxes everywhere. And the rule is the boxes don't touch. When a man discusses a particular subject, we go to that particular box, we pull that box out, we open the box, we discuss only what is in that box. All right? And then we close the box and put it away, being very, very careful not to touch any other boxes. Now, women's brains are very, very different from men's brains. Women's brains are made up of a big ball of wire. And everything is connected to everything. The money's connected to the car, and the car's connected to your job, and your kids are connected to your mother, and everything's connected to everything. And it's like... It's like the internet superhighway, okay? And it's all driven by energy that we call emotion. And it's one of the reasons why women tend to remember everything. Because if you take an event and you connect it to an emotion, it burns in your memory and you can remember it forever. The same thing happens for men. It just doesn't happen very often because, quite frankly, we don't care. Women tend to care about everything. And she just loves it. Okay? Now, men, we have a box in our brain that most women are not aware of. This particular box has nothing in it. In fact, we call it the nothing box. And of all the boxes a man has in his brain, the nothing box is our favorite box. If a man has a chance, he'll go to his nothing box every time. That's why a man can do something seemingly completely brain dead for hours on end. You know, like fishing. Now, they've actually measured this. The University of Pennsylvania a couple of years ago did a study and discovered that men have the ability to think about absolutely nothing and still breathe. You know, they connected all the wires and stuff like that and watched the brain activity, and then all of a sudden, I think he's dead. Huh? You know, women can't do it. They can't do it. Their minds never stop. And they don't understand the nothing box. And it drives them crazy. Because nothing drives a woman more crazy or makes her feel more irritated than to witness a man doing nothing.
That was for the lighter side. ठीक है. So basically,
Prabhuji, all of Hare Krishna.
हाँ, अब इस पे क्वेश्चन
All
और
are
पूछिए
great.
कुछ मेरे को.
Question है पूछो, just comment there. Our all great acharyas are men only. Previously.
जानवा माता जी है ना,
Most of-
जानवा माता जी is our
हाँ,
acharya.
yes, it is, but majority.
So everybody has a different psychophysical nature, and we can't dismiss that. So if artificially if somebody says no, I don't agree, that is not possible. We are made differently, but both have this prakriti and purusha in that. The feminine nature is there in men also, in females also. In females, it is little more. So it depends on the proportion of the feminine nature a person has. So that creates a difference in thought process. That creates the difference in which people think differently. So that's how it is. So we should never think that, okay, why scriptures, they are condemning. Scriptures, they condemn this mentality of attachment. They don't condemn the women per se. They condemn the mentality of attachment to the things of this world. That is feminine mentality. So that's how it is. Okay. Okay, so we'll continue. Asannapi kleshada ashadeha. The body gives pain. So intelligent person, just do it. Okay. So Prabhupada writes, begging, borrowing, and stealing to live for sense gratification is condemned in this verse because such consciousness leads one to a dark, hellish condition. The four sinful activities are intoxication, illicit sex, meat eating. These are the means by which one gets material body. Kleshada. If somebody does sinful activity, nunam pramatta kurute vikarma, then naturally they'll suffer. So these four regulative principles, the four pillars of sinful life, they are the seeds for future distress. So that's how the devotees, they should be very careful. Devotees may think, well, these things are not for me. I am not engaging in all these things. We may not do all these gross things, but we should be careful about the subtle things also. Prajalpa, fault finding, criticizing. These habits, they look very innocent, but that also creates impediment. So therefore, it is very, very important to be careful. We are not doing something sinful, but to advance and achieve the perfection, we have to go subtle. We have to look towards, just like in this Gundicha Marjan, Mahaprabhu said, Sukshma dhuli trina kankar sab karha dur, bhalamate marjan kar prabhur antahapur. After all the devotees, they cleansed the temple. Now, second time, Mahaprabhu is saying, please now clean the subtle dust particles. Sukshma dhuli trina kankar. So gross things are now, okay, we are away from them. Subtle things now we have to work on. Otherwise, it will be it will be an obstacle. So one should be very, very conscious. Conscious of Krishna and cautious of Maya. Okay. And then, in the next verse, Rishabdev says, if the sin leads to bondage, so somebody may ask, if sin leads to bondage, then shouldn't one do pious activities? Pious activity will not cause bondage. So Rishabdev says in the next verse, either you are doing a sinful activity or a pious activity, both will lead to bondage. Therefore, inquire about the self. That is what is described. Inquire. Para will recite this. Paravavasthavadabodha jato
परामवस्तावतपोधजातो
yavanna jigyasata atmatattvam
यावन् जिज्ञासतात्मतत्त्वम्
yavat kriyasthavadidam mano vai
यावत्
Yavat
क्रियास्तावदिदं मनो मे
कर्मात्मकं येन शरीरबन्धः
कर्मात्मकं येन शरीरबन्धः हरे
As
कृष्ण
long as one does not inquire about the spiritual value of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Be it sinful or pious, karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka, colored with fruitive activity. As long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear. He has to accept a material body. Hare Krishna.
Parabhava. Parabhava means one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Abodha jato. Everybody in this world is born defeated. It is not that they get defeated in this world. The fact that a person is taking birth, that means defeat. Last life, you are defeated. That's why you have taken birth again. So the symptom of defeat is your birth. Parabhav. This is the condition of this material world. This is the default setting of this material world. Parabhav. Nobody can say, I am victorious. You are born defeated. You are defeated in the last life. That's why you have taken birth again. And therefore, one is subjected to miseries which arise from ignorance. कब तक चलेगा ऐसा? यावद न जिज्ञासत आत्म तत्वम. Till the time one does not inquire about atma tattva, spiritual inquiries. As long as the mind is impure, yavat kriya tavad idam manovai. As long as the mana is impure, kriya will be impure. If the mind is not pure, our actions will definitely be contaminated. And that contaminated mind is called karmatmaka. Karmatmaka means that mind which is absorbed in material activity. Karma atma. Atma is in karma. That means his mind is in karma. And that causes sharir bandha. That causes bondage. Prabhupada writes, generally people think that one should act very piously, but this is not a fact. Either you work piously or sinfully, you are born defeated. This world, misery is guaranteed, whether you are a pious or impious person. Birth, old age, disease, and death. That is guaranteed. However pious you may be, you will grow old, you will die. His only aim should be emancipation from clutches of Maya. Speculative knowledge and pious activity do not solve the problems of material life. Therefore, one should inquire. Yathaidhamsi samiddognir bhasmasat kurute arjuna jnanagni sarvakarmani bhasmasat kurute tha. Inquire. Ahat athato brahma jigyasa. That is the beginning of spiritual life. Inquire. Why I am suffering? Kyami kene amare jare tapatra. That is the inquiry we have to ask. Sanatana Goswami says, Gramya Vahare Kahe More Gramya Vyavahare Kahe More Pandit Satya Kori Mani. I am such a fool. People glorify me as Pandit. And I accept it. What type of Pandit I am? I cannot come out of the entanglement of life, body. So actual life starts when we start inquiring. Inquire about Krishna. And because this verse mentioned about whether one is, okay, Prabhupada mentioned here. Even though one engages in piety or speculation, he is nonetheless defeated. So he's elaborating on speculation. He said, people, those who are impersonalists, they are speculating, mental speculation, but still they'll be defeated. Yarne arvindaksha muktamanina tvayasta bhava vishuddha buddhaya patam param padam pata patanti. If you are not doing devotional service, definitely you will fall down. Because without bhakti, even jnana cannot give liberation. Just give me a few seconds. I'll just change this data. Just a minute. Okay. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, proceed.
Okay. So Srila Prabhupada now describes in this purport about how jnanis are also defeated, how karmis are also defeated. Only a devotee achieves perfection. And then he continues. In the previous verse, it was described karmatmaka yena sharira bandha. The mind which is absorbed in karma creates bondage. Now in the next verse, it is described, Rishabdev says, how the mind becomes absorbed in action. Unless there is no love for Krishna, unless there is love for Krishna, bondage is guaranteed. Evam mana karma vasham prayungte avidyatmanyopadhiyamane pritirnayavan mai vasudevena muchyate deha yogena tavat. Translation.
When the living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he does not understand the individual living being and the supreme living being, and his mind is subjugated to fruitive activities. Therefore, until one has love for Lord Vasudev, who is none other than myself, he is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again.
Evam mana karma vasham. Till the time the mind is subjugated by karma, fruitive activity, avidyaya atmani. The living being is covered by avidya. And therefore, upadhiyamane, he does not understand who is he, what is his actual position. He cannot understand this. Avidya atmani upadhiyamane, because he is covered by ignorance, he cannot understand who is he actually. actual designation, Jivera Swarupa, that is difficult to understand. And if one gets liberated, then he understands. When one gets knowledge, then oh, mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavastiti. That is mukti. Till the time mind is absorbed in sense gratification, cannot understand this. Till the mind is absorbed in materialistic activities. Pritiranayavan mai vasudeve. Therefore, until one has developed love for Vasudev. Who is that Vasudev? Mai. Rishabdev says, I am that Lord. Na muchyate deha yoge na tavat. He is not delivered from this deha yoga. Deha yoga is a very interesting word. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, bhakti yoga, deha yoga. This body, it is actually, it takes one away from God. But here, deha and yoga, that is another interesting thing. Deha yoga. So this deha yoga means when the body is attached, when the soul is attached to the body. Deha yoga. Bhakti yoga means attachment to bhakti. Deha yoga means attachment to deha. Till the time one does not develop attachment for the Lord, deha yoga will continue. Pritirnavavan maivasudeve namuchyate deha yoga. So Prabhupada writes that when the mind is polluted by fruitive activity, then from one position to another position, urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasah jaganya gunavrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. Whether you are using your karma or jnana, they cannot uproot this fruitive mentality. The seed of enjoyment, the seed of sense gratificatory desire cannot be uprooted by karma or jnana or yoga. Shukdev Goswami says that in the sixth canto, first chapter, it is there. Venu gulmam ivanalaha. In the process of atonement, first Shukdev Goswami says, okay, karma kandiya prayaschitta. Parikshit Maharaj rejects it. It is like elephant bathing. Shukdev Goswami then says, okay, Jnana Marga. Then he himself says it is like Venu Gulma Mivanala. It is like forest fire burnt by, which is being burnt, but the roots of the creepers are still intact. Only bhakti can uproot all the seeds also. Chakravarti Thakur writes, how does the mind become absorbed in action? Ancient or recent karmas make the mind fixed in action. Karma vash. In this way, the mind becomes absorbed in action. Any action you do, that creates an impression, and that impression gives the impetus to work again, to do that again. Whether you do a good activity or a bad activity, that impression will push us to do that thing again. So what we have to do? We have to be absorbed in the Supreme. That is the only way for liberation. To train the mind. Mind is now absorbed in action. So result is bondage. The whole process of spirituality is to train the mind. In many places, Prabhupada writes this. In Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada writes this. Training the mind. Rishabdev, we'll see in the next chapter. He didn't accept the mystic powers after he left the kingdom. And Parikshit Maharaj asks, why he didn't accept the mystic powers? He is Supreme Lord. What is the problem? Shukdev Goswami says, one should never trust the mind, even though you are liberated. See, that's how it is. Mind is uncontrolled. Uncontrolled mind is markatasya surapanam madhye vrishchika danshanam tanmadhye bhuta sancharo yadva tadva bhavishyati. Uncontrolled mind means monkey. which is drunk and bitten by a scorpion and haunted by ghost. कितना शांति से बैठेगा वो? That's our mind. So you can't trust the mind. There, Shukdev Goswami says, one should never trust the captured animal. At the least expected moment, the animal will run away. One should never trust the servant who is of a very low nature. That servant will behave very wonderfully for some time, win the trust, get all the secrets from the master, and then he will take everything and run away. So initially, mind will say, oh, you have become a great sage now. You have such wonderful sense control. You are chanting also nicely. You know, today, nowadays, people, they do lots of sense gratification. Would you like to see how people fall down? देखते तो है ना लोग का पतन कैसे होता है. And then at the least expected moment, our mind will take us to sinful things. So that's how we have to be very careful. Till the time this conception of the body is there, attachments will be there, bondage will be there. Deha smriti nahi yaar, samsar bandh kahan tar. If one is not having deha smriti means conception, material conception of life. He is liberated being. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. A materialistic householder, because he is attached, for him, his house, his graha becomes kara graha, and the attachments, they become the shackles. The gopis, the highest of the devotees, they have shown by their personal example what is complete Krishna consciousness. Always absorbed in Krishna. Yadohane vahanane mathanopalepa Prinken kanar varudito kshanamajanado Gayanti chainamanurakta dhivashtrukantyo Dhanya brajastriya urukramachittayana. Shukdev Goswami is saying, Dhanya hai. All these Braj gopis, they are Dhanya. Actually, this is spoken by Mathura ladies. As they're remembering the fortune of the gopis, who are absorbed while milking, while threshing grains, while smearing cow dung on the wall, while taking care of the children, while swinging in the swing, whatever they are doing, always remembering Krishna. Absorbed. That is Krishna consciousness. That is what we have to aspire for. Otherwise, Pritir nayavan maiva sudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat. Till the time this is not happening, the mind will be absorbed in sense gratification, materialistic things of this world. Okay, so then, Shukdev Goswami, then Rishabdev continues. To be a devotee, one must be free from material desires. Yada na pashyat etha guneham swarthe pramatta sahasa pashyat. Gata smriti vindati tatruta pana sadhya maithunyam agaramadya. Translation.
Hare Krishna, even though one may be very learned and wise, he is mad if he doesn't understand that the endeavor for self gratification is a useless waste of time. Being forgetful of his own interest, he tries to be happy in the material world, entering, uh, centering his interest around his home, which is based on physical intercourses and which brings him all kinds of material misery. In this way, one is no better than a foolish animal. Hare Krishna.
Yada na pashyati. If one does not understand ayatha guneham, that endeavor for sense gratification is a waste of time. जब तक ये नहीं समझेंगे, स्वार्थे प्रमत्ता, he is mad. Sahasa vipashchit. One may be learned and wise, he is mad. अच्छा ऑक्सीमोरन है. A learned madman. स्वार्थे प्रमत्त सहसा विपश्चित. Till the time we don't understand that sense gratification gives misery. Endeavor for sense gratification. He is a learned madman. Gata smriti. He is forgetful of his own interest. And therefore, vindati tatra tapan. He doesn't understand the material pleasure will give tap. Try to be happy in this world. It will bring misery for sure. Asadya maithunya magar. Because this world, which is centered around sex life, maithunya agar hai wo. Therefore, suffering is guaranteed. Chakravarti Thakur writes, freedom from karma takes place at the mature stage of Gyan mixed with bhakti, not at the immature stage. Even if you practice jnana, this freedom from misery, freedom from karma happens at the advanced stage of Gyan. That Gyan is not Kevala Gyan, that is Bhakti Mishra Gyan. Only devotion is the active ingredient in all the different paths, either karma or jnana or yoga. Yagyarthat karmanoyantra lokoyam karma bandhan. If you don't offer your karma to Krishna, you will not get the result. स्वर्ग भी जाना है तो भगवान की भक्ति करो. If you are not doing jnana, if you are not doing bhakti and doing jnana, that jnana is like, ये तो मैंने कितने बार बताया. Anyone remembers? If we
Empty husk.
हाँ, empty husk. वो संस्कृत words किसी को याद है? Thul tushavaghātinām. It is like beating the empty husk of rice. If somebody is not practicing bhakti and doing yoga, he will not get the result. Pureha bhuman bahvopya yogina tvadarpiteha nij karma labdhaya. So that's how, even at Gyan, bhakti is the active ingredient which frees one from karma. When even the wise man does not desire for sense objects, he suddenly loses his memory and experiences great pain after attaining the house meant for sexual pleasure. It is so very difficult we all know how difficult it is to be detached. We may quote from various scriptures, but still we may not be detached. There are some people who know lots of Bhagavad Gita, but still they enjoy. Still they do sinful activities. So it is not so easy to get detached from material enjoyment. There are few professors who have done PhD in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but they are breaking 4 regulatory principles. So what's the use of doing this Chaitanya Charitamrita PhD? So therefore, it is very, very important to understand, unless one practices bhakti in association of a bhakta, the external qualifications, they can't change the trajectory of a living entity. The realization that sense gratification is futile, that will come only by service. Otherwise, सुनने में अच्छा लगता है. Otherwise, वो प्रभुपाद बोलते हैं कौन सा स्टोरी है? A bird one time was teaching all subordinate birds, when the hunter comes, you should be very careful. You know how hunter catches? बहेलिया आएगा, जाल बिछाएगा, दाना डालेगा, जाल में फंसना नहीं. ठीक है? The hunter will come, will spread his net, put the bait, जाल में फंसना नहीं. सब बोलते रहो. Remember this. And they all decide whole day they are just memorizing, and one day the hunter comes, बहेलिया आया, जाल बिछाया, दाना डाला, और ऐसा बोलते बोलते उसमें फंस गए. So this realization is a very, very important thing. And the realization comes when we sincerely pray and serve. Therefore, it is so very important. Prabhupada writes, in the lowest stage of devotional life, one is not an unalloyed devotee. Anya abhilashita shunyam. To be an unalloyed devotee, one must be freed from material desires and untouched by karma and jnana. On the lower platform, one may be interested in jnana. At that stage also, one is still interested in sense gratification. Influence of Maya is so strong that even a person advanced in knowledge forgets that he is Krishna's eternal servant. So this realization it takes a long time. And that comes only by bhakti yoga. Jnanis, karmis, yogis, they take long, long time. Okay. After this, Rishabdev says, why this Maithunya Agar is specially why this sex life is specially condemned? Because next verse, famous verse, Prabhupada quoted this hundreds of times. This is the root cause of the bondage. Pumsa striya mithuni bhavametat tayormitha hridaya grantimahu ato grahshetra shuttapta vittai janasya mohoyam aham mameti. Translation.
Hare Krishna. The attraction between male and female is the basic principle of material existence. On basis of this misconception, which ties together the hearts of the male and female, one becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. Hare Krishna.
Okay. We are going little slow, it seems. 8 श्लोक भी नहीं हुए अभी तक. थोड़ा फास्ट करते हैं. Okay, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle. Pumsa striya mithuni bhava. Mithuni bhava. The attachment is the basic principle because it causes hridaya granthi. And this granthi is not one-sided. It is two-sided, three-sided, 4 knots, 5 knots. I may be attached to gulab jamun, but gulab jamun is not attached to me. But I am attached to my wife. Wife is attached to me. I am attached to my son. Son is attached to me. Then gets married. Unka family also attachment. It is unlimited knots. So, Chakravarti Thakur writes this. What is this knot? 2 knots are tied between husband and wife. One knot is, this is my wife. Second knot is, this is my husband. So husband thinks, ये मेरी पत्नी, वो एक knot हो गया. Wife thinks, my husband, दूसरा knot हो गया. Though the man desire to give up the relationships, wife will not give up. This is the depth of the knot. How deep the knot is, मतलब थोड़ा simple, थोड़ा loose knot रहता है तो खोल सकते हैं. Tight knot मुश्किल है. ऊपर से 2 knot तो और भी मुश्किल है. And the other knot is added. The knot tied between father and son is also implied. If one is not attached to family, then other attachments are there. Clothing, chair, utensil. Okay, ठीक है. That is not such a great bondage. Attachment to inanimate beings, objects, that is not a great bondage. That is one-sided attachment. The things are not attached to you. You are attached to things. But attachment between the family members, oh, that is a great attachment. Hridaya Granthi. Therefore, this Granthi cannot be opened. It's like those who are Brahmins, वो ब्राह्मण थ्रेड पहनते हैं ना, उसको खोला नहीं ठीक से तो फिर वो ऐसा नॉट पड़ता है उसमें, उसको कितना भी ट्राई करो खुलता नहीं है, यू नो। सो दैट इज द नॉट, और उसको पेशेंस लगता है खोलने के लिए। इफ somebody thinks वो खोलेंगे, a impatient devotee cannot open that knot. वो धीरे धीरे खोलना पड़ता है। And if the knot is really hard, you have to cut it. Asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. This knot cannot be opened. It has to be cut. That is there in all the species of life. That is not just in the human species. This attachment is there in all species. Prabhupada writes, in any case, the man thinks of women, women thinks of man. This person becomes attached to his family, property, children. The possessor unfortunately identifies with his property and wealth. Sometimes, even after renunciation, one becomes attached to a temple or to the few things that constitute the property of a sannyasi. But such attachment is not as strong as family attachment. Attachment to family is the strongest illusion. Attachment to things, that is not such a strong attachment. Attachment to people, that is very strong attachment. कब तक चलेगा ये attachment? So that is what is described in the next verse. So till the time this attachment is there, so therefore it is described in scriptures again and again. Be careful of association with opposite gender. It is more dangerous than living in a pit full of poison. It is better to live in the pit full of poison than to associate with Vishayi Sangi. That is very deadly. Okay. When the liberation will take place? Yada mano hridaya granthirasya karmanubaddo drida ashlateta tada jana samparivartate sman mukta param yatyatihaya hetum.
Hare Krishna. When the strong knot in the heart of persons implicated in the material life due to the result of past action is slackened, one turns away from the attachment of to home, wife, and children. In this way, one gives up the basic principles of religion, putting bracket I and mine, and become liberated. Thus, one goes to the transcendental world. Hare Krishna.
Yada mano hridaya granthi, when the hard knot in the heart, the hard strong knot is implicated, then karmanubadha. It is due to when this hard knot becomes more strong, karmanubadha. You enter sense gratification, the knot will become more strong. Tada jana samparivartate. And this knot is slackened. Ashlatheta. Ashlatheta means slackened. ये knot छूटेगा कैसे, ढीला कैसे होगा? When samparivartate, turns away from where? From all the attachments of family, home, wife, children. Till the time this turning away is not happening, the attachment will not slacken, the knot will not slacken. And when one leaves, turns away, then mukta param yati, he becomes liberated. He gives up the conception of I and mine. Actually, although this verse says ashlatheta, slackened, but it is not possible to loosen this knot. Its knot has to be cut. There is no way to loosen this knot. It has to be cut, and it has to be cut by knowledge and practice of bhakti. That's why Vidurji, when he comes back, he gives such a strong chastisement to Dhritarashtra. Just get out, oh Dhritarashtra, what are you doing? You're already blind, now you have become deaf also. Andha purayo badhiro manda pragya cha sampratam vishirnadanta mandagni saragam kapamudvam. You are living like a dog. Just see the desire to live. Ho mahiyasi jantu jivitasha yatha bhavan dhima pavarjitam pindam madatte grihapalavat. You are living like a dog. Don't think I'll give a solution for this because I have given solutions for all the problems of your life. There is no solution for this problem. Pratikriya nayasyeha kutaschit karhichit prabho sayesh bhagavan kala sarvesham na samagata. It is time factor which has come in your life. Bhagavan kal. Bhagavan means insurmountable time factor. So this process of this knot can be cut only by practice of pure devotional service. There is no other way. Prabhupada writes, when one associates with sadhus and engages in devotional service, one is gradually freed. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time sometimes. Just like the fire burns the firewood slowly. Jarayati ashu ya kosham nigirnam analo yatha. Similarly, the purification happens slowly. And then in the next 5 verses, Rishabdev explains this path of Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Very beautiful verses. Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Okay, I will recite all these verses. नहीं तुम recite नहीं करेंगे चलो. Although अच्छे श्लोक हैं, we'll read the translation.
Oh, my son, you should accept a highly elevated Paramahamsa, a spiritually advanced spiritual master. In this way, you should place your faith and love in me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You should detest sense gratification and tolerate the duality of pleasure and pain, which are like the seasonal changes of summer and winter. Try to realize the miserable condition of living entities who are miserable even in the higher planetary system. Philosophically inquire about the truth. They undergo all kinds of austerities and penances for the sake of devotional service. Give up the endeavor for sense enjoyment and engage in the service of the Lord. Listen to discussions about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always associate with the devotees. Chant about and glorify the Supreme Lord and look upon everyone equally on the spiritual platform. Give up enmity and subdue anger and lamentation. Abandon identifying the self with the body and the home and practice reading the revealed scriptures. Live in a secluded place and practice the process by which you can completely control your life air, mind, and senses. Have full faith in revealed scriptures, the Vedic literature, and always observe celibacy. Perform your prescribed duties and avoid unnecessary talks. Always thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, acquire knowledge from the right source. Thus, practicing Bhakti Yoga, you will patiently and enthusiastically be elevated in knowledge and will be able to give up the false ego. Great.
So you are muted, Prabhu.
These are the 25 limbs of Bhakti Mishra Gyan. Gyan Mishra Bhakti. So these are the 25 processes to destroy Ahankar and attain liberation. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes. Having said that, one can destroy the subtle body by Bhakti Mishra Gyan. Now he explains that one can destroy the subtle body by Gyan Mishra Bhakti. So Bhakti Mishra Gyan also destroys the subtle body, that is Jnana Yoga. Gyan Mishra Bhakti is more powerful because it gives devotion to the Lord ultimately. Those practicing pure bhakti destroys the subtle body by 15 types of actions. So these are now the activities of a devotee who is practicing Shuddha Bhakti. So 25 things are described. It begins with Hamse Guraumai Bhaktyanuvritya. Worship Guru with devotion. And so many things, whatever we read. These are the qualities of a Gyan Mishra Bhakta or a pure devotee also. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he doesn't give technical, whenever we see the technical explanations of Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Prabhupada generally doesn't enter the technical details much. He is interested in giving the essence, the main thing, because technical things, they are very attractive for the intelligence. But if that is not helping us becoming more devoted, then it will not serve the purpose. So Prabhupada doesn't enter much into the technical details. Gyan Mishra Bhakti ke ang hai, Bhakti Mishra Gyan hai, or Shuddha Bhakti hai. He translates everything in context of pure devotional service. So Prabhupada writes, Rishabdev tells how one can be freed from false identification from ego, ahankar, and get liberated. One gradually becomes liberated by practicing all the things. It begins by accepting a bona fide guru. That's the first limb of devotional service. Adav Guru Padashraya. Rupa Goswami describes that. Surrender to a guru. So Prabhupada elaborates on that also. Association of devotees. And then so many things Prabhupada emphasizes. And then he says, Sri Madhvacharya points out that sum and substance of these 4 shlokas is that one should refrain from acting out of desire for sense gratification and instead always engage in loving service of the Lord. That is sum and substance. Stay away from sense gratification and get attached to Krishna. Detachment from matter, attachment to Krishna. In other words, Bhakti Yoga is the acknowledged path of liberation. That is what is described here. And then after describing all this, in the next verse, Rishabdev says, all these 25 processes, they aid in bhakti. Bhakti is the main active ingredient that we should work on. All the other processes, they are given up after liberation is achieved. Nobody continues to practice jnana after they become Brahman realized. Nobody does all these yoga after they become Brahman realized or Paramatma realized. So their process and the goal, the activities of the process and activities after they achieve the goal, they are different. But for a bhakta, the means and the end are the same. That is what is described in the next verse. For others, they give up the process, but a devotee never gives up the process. Karmashayam hridaya granthi baddham bandham avidyaya sadidam apramatta anena yogena yathopadeshan samyak vapoye samyak vapogyo parameta yogat.
As I have advised you, my dear sons, you should act accordingly. Be very careful. By these means, you will be freed from ignorance of the desire for fruitive activities, and the knot of bondage in the heart will be completely severed. For further advancement, you should also give up the means. That is, you should not become attached to the process of liberation itself.
So the process of liberation should be given up. In the Jnana Marg, the Jnana is given up. In a Yoga Marg, yoga is given up. But in the process of bhakti, bhakti is not given up. All the rules, lower rules, they can be given up, but bhakti should not be given up. So that is very important. Externals, they can be given up. Just like when Mahaprabhu, he went and took some Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath to Sarvam Bhattacharya, and it was early morning. Sarvam has not gotten up yet. Mahaprabhu knocks the door and Sarvam opens, and Mahaprabhu gives him Mahaprasad, and Sarvam, without even bathing, without brushing, without cleaning, he eats Mahaprasad. And Mahaprabhu says, Sarvam Bhattacharya, how can you do this? You are a Brahman. Sarvam says, Nadesha niyamas tatra nakala niyamas tatha prapti matrena bhoktavyam natra kala vicharana. Are in the eating of Mahaprasad, there is no rules and regulations. Mile jaisi khalo. Mahaprabhu becomes so happy that this Sarvam, you are such a rigid Brahman, Mayavadi. He has given up all the rules and regulations of that, and now he is practicing pure devotion. देखी आनंदित होइला महाप्रभुर्गण प्रेमाविष्ट होइया प्रभु कैला आलिंगन. Mahaprabhu embraced him. And Mahaprabhu says, today I have conquered Vaikuntha. Today I have conquered this entire world. Aji moi anayase jininu tribhuvan. Aji moi kairinu Vaikuntha arohan. Aji mora purna hoila sarva abhilash. सार्वभौमे न होइला महाप्रसादे विश्वास. महाप्रसाद में विश्वास हो गया है. That is the greatest achievement. You know, when all the devotees of Mahaprabhu, they come from Navadip to Jagannath Puri. And Pratap Rudra Maharaj and Sarvam Bhattacharya, they are seeing this scene from the top of palace. And all these devotees, they come and they ran to meet Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, what he does? He orders the superintendent of temple and all the devotees, get all the Mahaprasad. And Mahaprabhu is serving Mahaprasad and all the devotees are eating. So Pratap Rudra Maharaj says, what is happening here? He asks Sarvabhaum, Raja kahe upavas shaura tirthera vidhan, tahana koriye eha khabe annapan. When you go to holy place, you should do shaur and upavas, shaving and fasting. ये लोग तो पेट भर के महाप्रसाद खा रहे हैं. No upavas, no shaving. What is this? Bhattacharya says, Pratap Rudra, whatever you are saying, that is vidhi marma. That is a regulative principle of the Vedas. But whatever you are seeing here, that is rag marga. Ei rag marge aiche sukshma dharma marma. The rules and regulations of rag marga are different. Ishwarera paroksha agya shaurupeshan upokshan prabhura sakshata agya prasada bhojan. The Supreme Lord has given indirect instructions in the Vedas. You do shower and upashan. अभी साक्षात यहाँ पे बोल रहे हैं महाप्रभु प्रसाद लो. It is a general understanding. अगर आप ट्रैफिक सिग्नल पे खड़े हैं and the traffic light is red and the traffic police says जाओ, so will you stop or will you go? You will go or you will. सामने personified खड़ा है तो अभी सिग्नल को क्या देखना है? So that is what Sarvabhaum is saying. ईश्वर परोक्ष आज्ञा, indirectly शौर पोषण, प्रभुर साक्षात आज्ञा प्रसाद भोजन. अगर प्रसाद नहीं है तो उपवास करो, प्रसाद है तो उपवास क्यों? विशेषे श्री हस्ते प्रभु करे परिवेशन, एतला बछाड़ी कौन करे उपोषण. And on top of it, Mahaprabhu is serving personally. तो कौन फास्टिंग करेगा? Nobody will reject कि अरे फास्टिंग है आज. So all these are the subtle, principles of Bhakti Yoga, where all the externals are rejected. That is what he's saying, Rishabdev. You should give up all the externals. when you achieve the goal. But when it comes to bhakti, one cannot give up the process. Okay. And then Rishabdev describes the responsibilities of the leader in next 4 verses, 15 to 18. So he says, yeah, translation, somebody can read.
If one is serious about going back home, back to Godhead, he must consider the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the summum bonum and chief aim of life. If he is a father instructing his sons, a spiritual master instructing his disciples, or a king instructing his citizens, he must instruct them as I have advised. Without being angry, he should continue giving instructions even if his disciple, son, or citizen is sometimes unable to follow his order. Ignorant people who engage in pious and impious activities should be engaged in devotional service by all means. They should always avoid fruitive activity. If one puts into the bondage of karmic activity his disciple, son, or citizen who is bereft of transcendental vision, how will one profit? It is like leading a blind man to a dark well and causing him fall in.
So leader has a great responsibility. So all of you will be the kings. Rishabdev is telling his sons, you will be kings. It is your responsibility to guide the citizens properly. Putram shashishyam shanripo guru ruva mallok palo mad anugrahartha. A father, a guru, or a king who desires to go back to spiritual world, malloka kama, they should consider the Lord's mercy as their aim of life. So responsibility of the leader is he should make his life perfect first. And second, he should instruct the subordinates. Itham vimanyu. This is very important. Vimanyu means even if the subordinate can't execute the orders properly, don't become angry on them. Please treat them with affection. Don't become angry, even though they are incompetent. Don't engage them in lower karmic activities. Never engage them. Instruct them properly again and again. Otherwise, if you are encouraging your subordinate to enter karmic life, kamayo jayan manujo artham labheta nipatayam nashta drisham higarte. It is like if a person is blind and you throw him in a well. These people, ordinary citizens, they are blind. They don't know what is actual knowledge. Please don't instruct them in karmic actions. Karmic activities, putting person in a blind well. So Rishabdev is giving high standards for his sons. You become self-realized. You follow the principles of devotion properly and help others. Yadayadacharati sreshta tatta deveta rojana. If you don't do it properly, then the entire dynasty, entire society will be destroyed. So that a devotee should be externally attached. It looks like he's externally attached, taking care of the property or a business or a family. Internally, he has complete detachment. It comes in the 10th canto when Satyabhama's father was killed by Satrajit. Krishna cried. Loudly he cried. That was the external show. Internally, he is completely detached. When Ashwatthama killed the 5 sons of Draupadi, Krishna also was externally, he also was affected. He consoled. He took part in the rituals. So that is a worldly responsibility that we have to take care. But internally, one should be in a detached consciousness. That is what is described here. Just like Kardam Muni, when Devahuti said, I want child, he created a huge aerial mansion with all the luxuries. But after he gave a child to Devahuti, he didn't say थोड़ा रुक जाते हैं, अब इतना बड़ा mansion बनाया है, so let's stay for some more time. Immediately he left. So that is very important. Internal detachment. One should learn how to deal with the people of this world, how to deal with the world, but internal detachment is must. Prabhupada writes, Na buddhi bhedam janayet. If a person, he is engaged in, he has a lower level of intelligence, don't throw them in well. Don't push them lower. Try to bring them to the next level of understanding. That is the important, principle. We have to give spiritual knowledge. We have to give philosophical understanding with a sensitive heart. Don't trouble them so much that they'll go away from spirituality. Be very sensitive. So we should not, when somebody comes and says, I have this material problem, we should not reject them. We should not chastise them. How can you think all these are material? Take care of them nicely. Help them in little whatever possible, but focus on the spiritual aspect more. So that's how expert devotee, he will not just tell somebody to improve the material life. He will tell how to develop relation with Krishna while taking care of the material responsibilities. That is important. Itham vimanyu anushishyat asatyan. We should not become angry on the subordinates. That's how when people are new in Krishna consciousness, they should be given Krishna consciousness gradually, slowly, according to the level they are in. If somebody comes for programs and he is not able to follow the principles, we should not give all the chastisement. Vimanyu, don't become angry on them. Just tolerate their mistakes. Otherwise, if we become angry, they'll go away from Krishna. Our nice behavior is very important. Vimanyu. That is like a package. If the package is not good, nobody will buy the product. If we speak harsh words, you are useless, you are good for nothing, you will never be able to do this, they may give up the practice of bhakti, they'll not come also. So that's how it is. Okay. We'll stop here. We'll continue next time. In the 16th verse, Rishabdev describes a person who is ignorant. Who are these ignorant people? So karma mudha, who is this karma mudha? Because previous verse said, Nayojayet karmasu karma mudha. Who is this karma mudha? This karma mudha is described in the 16th verse. Okay, that will describe next time. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada
Thank you,
ki
Prabhuji. Hare
jai.
Krishna.
Hare
Srimad
Krishna,
Bhagavatam
Bhagavatam,
ki jai.
Jai.
Krishna, thank you.
Thank you.